In the midst of political pomp, the president promised that Al-Qaeda was on the run.
Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and Osama bin Laden is dead.
Less than a week later, 4 Americans lay dead in Benghazi. An attack all the more shocking because it came on 9/11. The administration immediately blamed a YouTube video for the murders.
These protests were in reaction to a video, but we have no information to suggest that it was a pre-planned attack.
That assertion was soon challenged by those in a position to know, as a former general who monitored the attack in real time reiterated in testimony just this week.
This was a hostile action. This was no demonstration gone terribly awry.
The president long ago dismissed the Benghazi controversy as a partisan political sideshow.
The whole thing defies logic.
But now the court-ordered release of White House emails and the news that there will likely be a select House committee to investigate what happened in Benghazi suggest a different story.
It is disturbing and perhaps criminal.
Good evening. I'm Brett Baer from our Washington, D.C. newsroom. Tonight, Fox News reporting Benghazi. Has a White House cover-up finally been revealed? We start with breaking news, a stunning new development. On Capitol Hill, Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen with the very latest. James.
Brett, good evening. House Speaker John Boehner announced his chamber will soon vote to create a special select House committee to investigate the Benghazi attacks. The Ohio Republican had long resisted calls for a Watergate-style committee, but he cited the recent disclosure of emails showing that White House Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes played a critical early role in shaping a false narrative of the attacks. These revelations compel the House to take every possible action to ensure the American people have the truth, Boehner said, adding, "I intend for this select committee to have robust authority, and I will expect it to work quickly to get answers." The panel will be bipartisan, but like the House itself, controlled by the GOP. Brett.
James, I guess this means the mainstream media will have to cover this story a bit more now.
That would stand to reason. We're talking about the formation of a dedicated congressional committee with subpoena power that will likely be live streaming testimony from key witnesses.
Thank you, James. That was the bombshell on the Hill, just down Pennsylvania Avenue. The other bombshell, an email emanating from the White House. Here's Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge.
Nearly 20 months after the attack in Benghazi, the administration's explanations about who knew what and when are beginning to unravel in a very public way. An email sent 3 days after the attack leads directly to the White House and suggests a senior advisor to President Obama played a central role preparing former UN Ambassador Susan Rice for the Sunday talk shows, where she blamed an anti-Muslim internet video for the deaths of 4 Americans.
If this is not a smoking gun, proving beyond any doubt that the story told by the administration about Benghazi was politically motivated and fabricated, nothing will ever prove that.
Among more than 100 pages of documents obtained by Judicial Watch as part of a federal lawsuit is an email from Ben Rhodes, an assistant to the president and deputy national security advisor for strategic communications. With the subject line, "Prep Call with Susan," Rhodes writes to a dozen members of the administration's inner circle, including key players on the White House communications team, such as spokesman Jay Carney, that one of the goals is, quote, to underscore that these protests are rooted in an internet video and not a broader failure of policy.
The goal of the White House was to do one thing primarily, which was to make the president look good, blame it on the video, and not on the president's policies.
The Rhodes email is significant because it was not part of the 100 pages of emails released last May by the administration, and it conflicted with the available intelligence, a point reinforced in new congressional testimony.
Was it a video?
No, sir.
Was it a video that sparked a protest?
No, sir.
When pushed to explain the Rhodes email, the White House claimed it was not about the murder of 4 Americans.
It was explicitly not about Benghazi. It was about the overall situation in the region.
But the Rhodes email talks about justice for those who harmed Americans, and the only Americans killed on September 11th were in Benghazi. While the administration has consistently blamed the CIA talking points for the flawed video explanation, the agency's former deputy director recently testified he was surprised when Rice made the connection.
When she talked about the video, my reaction was that's not something that the analysts have attributed this attack to.
The White House press corps skepticism came to a head in this exchange with ABC News.
Why did it take a court case for you to release this?
John, I can say it again and again, and I know you can keep asking again and again. This document was not about Benghazi.
It was her prep for the Sunday shows.
It wasn't her only prep, John. She relied on for her answers on Benghazi on the document prepared by the CIA, as did members of Congress.
The frustration on Capitol Hill has been building for more than a year and a half. Where did the video explanation really come from, given U.S. personnel on the ground in Libya never reported a protest or a video?
This was a hostile action. This was no demonstration gone terribly awry.
In new congressional testimony, a retired brigadier general who was monitoring events that night said an al-Qaeda-linked group was immediately identified.
We felt it was Ansar al-Sharia.
What has largely been overlooked is that on the night of the attack, Mrs. Clinton spoke with the president. While the exact timing is unknown, at 10:07 p.m., Clinton sent out a press release before the attack was over, directly linking the Benghazi violence to the video. Brett Baier asked former National Security Council spokesman Tommy Vietor where that information came from.
September 11th, who tells Hillary Clinton at 10 p.m. to put out this statement that says some have sought to justify this vicious behavior? The announcement has already happened about the Benghazi attack as a response to inflammatory material posted on the internet. Now, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, this is still going on, this attack. So where does that come from?
I don't know.
Did you also change attacks to demonstrations in the talking points?
Maybe. I don't really remember.
You don't remember?
Dude, this was like 2 years ago. We're still talking about the most mundane
it is the thing
process
that everybody is talking about.
We're talking about the process of editing talking points. That's what bureaucrats do all day long.
Vietor also conceded that the president was not in the Situation Room on the night of the attack.
Then when Hillary Clinton talks to him by phone at 10 p.m., he's where?
I don't know. I don't have a tracking device on him in the residence.
But you were in the Situation Room and he wasn't there.
Yes, I was in the White House.
And the president was not in the Situation Room?
Not in the room I was in.
Administration critics say the Ben Rhodes email has laid responsibility for the false narrative about the video directly at the White House and forced the issue. There will now be a select committee formed to investigate the Benghazi scandal.
Let's bring in our